Okay, here are bees entering the hive. Super cool.
Hi BPS, this is Miss Marcy. This is our Wild About Books Week for Read Across America. I'm so excited. Today we have a beekeeper with us. Her name is Miss Pat, and she's going to tell us a little bit about herself and how she got into beekeeping.
Hello, I am Miss Pat and I am a beekeeper. I started beekeeping maybe 6 years ago, but I was interested in bees when I was about your age. I remember being maybe 6, 7 years old, going down to a farm, and I saw somebody that had bees, and they went out to feed them, and I was so interested, and I thought to myself, one day I'm going to keep bees. So after we settled down, after traveling all over the country, I started keeping bees. They're really, really fascinating little creatures.
Is there any challenges with keeping bees? Any hard parts of your job?
There's a lot of challenges, unfortunately. They're very hard to keep alive anymore because of the use of pesticides. And people keep their lawns and their farms so pristine without any wildflowers. There's not much for them to eat anymore, so we have to feed them twice a year. We feed them what amounts to sugar water at a certain mix, and we put vitamins and minerals in there. And we also have to treat them they get mites. We have to treat them for certain diseases. So it's really hard anymore to keep them alive. In fact, I lost a hive this spring, and I haven't figured out why I lost it, but eventually I'll take it completely apart and see what was going on.
What's your favorite part of beekeeping?
My favorite part is I think they're so fascinating. When I first got them and I had my hives all set up, I went out to the hive boxes and I put my little lawn chair down and I just watched them go in and out, in and out, in and out. And they would come in with their little, I call them pocketbooks, but that's not what they're called. They have these little pouches on their legs that they stuff pollen in. And we think that pollen is just yellow. It's all different colors. You'll see them come in with pink and green and yellow. They're just fascinating. And they talk to one another. They'll find a good nectar source and they'll come in and somebody will come here and stand right here. And they'll do this little dance. They just waggle around and touch each other's antennas. And by that little dance, they will tell the other bees, I found this nectar source or this flower in this location, so many feet away. It's amazing.
That is super cool.
It truly is amazing. It is.
Awesome. I didn't know bees dance. That's
They
really
sure
cool.
do dance.
Would you recommend beekeeping to our students?
I would. In our club, we have people that keep bees of all ages. We have someone who started keeping bees with her father, and she was in primary school. She couldn't have been 4 years old. And we have people that are way older than me that have kept bees in their family for generations. It's a fascinating hobby, and you get something in return. You get honey.
My favorite. Well, I see you have all these cool things sitting about. Can you tell us about some of them?
Yes, this is generally where they live. These are the bee boxes. This one's fairly small because I use it to raise bees when I have to get new colonies that are very small. But we have a top. That's top, and then we have this box is where we keep what are called honey supers. These are the smaller frames that we put in here, and the bees fill them up with honey, and that's where they store all their excess honey. And then we have the larger box with the big bunch of frames in there, and the bigger box is where they live. Now sometimes the hive will get so big we have to stack more than one big box. There can be up to 50,000 bees in one colony. And only one queen, that's the mother of everybody. Everybody in the hive is a sister. There are all the workers are girl bees. They work. And there are some boy bees in there, but they don't do much of anything. They just sort of hang out and eat.
So what is this little thing there?
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
This is called a smoker. You know, everybody is worried about getting stung by bees. And if you work bees a lot, you know how to work them without them jumping all over you. And yes, we do get stung, but it's not bad. In certain times, we'll wear our beekeeping equipment. This is a coat, and it has a helmet that goes over your head, and it keeps the bees off of you. You can tell I've used it a lot. It has all sorts of bee juice on it. And we have long leather gloves that we wear to keep our hands. And generally, we'll wear long pants, and sometimes we'll even rubber band or put our socks up over. There's certain times of years that bees are they're busy and they don't want to be bothered. So we will come out when we're going to inspect our hives, which we have to do to make sure everything is going fine and that the queen's still alive and everybody's healthy. And we build a little fire in this tin can. And it's not a flame, it just smokes and smolders. And bees, when we smoke around their house, we pump it with this bellows, which makes air and smoke come out of here. We do it all around the hive, and they think, oh my goodness, something's on fire. So they all rush inside, and they form a real tight knot around their queen. They protect her with their lives. They love their queen mother. So then we can open it up and pull the frames out and inspect it and make sure everything's all right, and then we can shut it back up and walk away. But that's what this is for. It's really cool.
That is really neat. You know, one of our students just this morning asked me about the queen bee in particular, and you said the queen was very, very important. So what happens if something happens to the queen?
Oh, that's a disaster.
Oh.
That's why we inspect our hives a lot. If something happens to the queen, we have to raise the queen very quickly. Now, I'm lazy. I don't buy her. She's very expensive, let me tell you. You can buy a new queen because there are people that raise queens. It's part of their bee business. But I let the bees make their own. If there are a lot of eggs in the bigger frame, it'll be big, in the center of it, they will lay eggs. The queen lays eggs to raise new workers.
Okay.
And around it will be food for them that the worker bees put in. And if there are enough eggs in there, if you can find almost a newborn egg, a new one, and they know they're queenless, they will build a queen cell and they will raise a queen.
Huh.
So, and when that hatches out, they will feed this little tiny grub, looks like a little tiny white worm. They will feed it something called royal jelly, and that turns her into a queen. They all have the ability to turn into a queen, but they need royal jelly to complete the process.
So
and then
cool.
they'll have a new queen and everything's okay. If you don't catch it in time, the hive will die out because she's their mother. They have no replacements, and worker bees only live about 38 days. They work themselves literally to death.
Wow.
They fly and fly and fly and fly.
It's fascinating.
And this is about 2 pounds of honey, this jar. 1/2 of it would be 1 pound. It takes a whole colony of bees, the equivalent of 3 trips around the earth, and visiting 2 million flowers to make that much honey.
Oh my goodness.
And that shows you how hard they work. They're unbelievably industrious. So when you go outside and see them on mom's flowers, or on the vegetables, or on the clover, don't be afraid of them. They could care less about you. They're only interested in getting some food to take back to the hive and to store it. And in all summer long, they'll store it, and we'll take some honey off of them. We leave them honey to eat and through the winter time. And then in the wintertime, they live on their stores. So they're pretty smart, you know, they sock things away from themselves.
So we shouldn't be scared of bees?
No, don't be afraid of bees, because the only time you get stung is when you bother them. If I saw one and I was like, I'm gonna pick you up, yeah, I'll get stung. And the only time they sting me when I'm working on my hive is if I get lazy and it's so hot and I don't want to put all this stuff on because it is hot, it really is. And yeah, one will jump on me and bite me. But they always tell you, it's the oddest thing. They will lock eyes with you. They'll be flying around and they'll be just like this. And I'm thinking, oh, I'm gonna get stung. I know it. And they do. They literally warn you first.
Huh.
They will come up and they literally look at you in your eyes.
so
It's
cool.
the neatest thing.
That is
It
so
really
cool.
is. It really is.
I didn't realize bees were so fascinating and interesting insects, but I did know that I love honey. I hope that you like it too. It's very delicious. And we have several library books. If you guys are interested in bees, just ask me and you can check them out. Thank you so much, Miss.